Hi, this is Tom Keene, and I want to tell you about Bloomberg News Now. It's news when you want it on your schedule. These are short audio reports, 5 minutes or less, that bring you the latest headlines with context 24 hours a day. Get it on your smartphone with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any podcast platform. And if you're still not sure, here's a sample of today's latest report from our team at Bloomberg News Now.
News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. Just crossing the Bloomberg terminal, Boeing says it plans to cut its workforce by about 10%, responding to the crisis facing the plane maker as it faces a drawn-out strike by workers and a worsening cash crunch. Bloomberg Intelligence senior aerospace, defense, and airlines analyst George Ferguson.
Tough times are ahead, and that's what CEO Kelly Ortberg told the company when he told them there's going to be a 10% cut, tightening their belt here. It looks to me like they're posturing for the long haul, right? I think they're telling the union, we're going to slim down. We need to save a bunch of money, and we're ready to kind of go the long haul on our negotiations with you. We're going to take pain on the executive side as well.
Roughly 17,000 jobs will be affected. That's about 10% of its workforce, including executives, managers, and employees. The company also announcing that first delivery Boeing's already delayed 777X aircraft will now happen in 2026. Boeing shares now down more than 2% in the post-market. And we bring you closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. The Dow up 410 points. That's a record close. NASDAQ up 61 points and the S&P 500 up 35, also an all-time high. The U.S. is expanding its sanctions on Iran's oil and petrochemical sectors in response to the country's October 1st ballistic missile attack on Israel. The move gives the department the ability to target a broader range of activities related to the trade in the future. That's according to the Treasury Department. The U.S. is sanctioning 17 ships and 10 entities that have been involved in shipping Iranian oil and petrochemicals. Now, Israel has yet to decide how to retaliate against that attack last week. That's according to an Israeli official. And Israel remains under pressure from the U.S. and others to limit the severity of its response. Yesterday's Security Cabinet meeting ended without a decision on what the response should be. And it's not clear if there are divisions within Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition government or if they're just biding their time. Elon Musk's unveiling of self-driving taxi prototypes let down some Tesla investors. Many were expecting more particulars on how the carmaker can possibly pull off his latest robocar predictions. The Tesla chief executive officer unveiled a slick two-seat sedan called a Cybercab late yesterday, saying that production may start in 2026 and that the vehicle would cost less than $30,000. More details now with Bloomberg's Kriti Gupta.
The timing is also another kind of volatile factor here because, yes, there are plenty of unveilings coming out of Tesla, but Elon Musk and his design team has a history of going far past the timeline that they suggest. If he's talking about 2 short years, there's a lot of questions about, well, can you actually get to those 2 years?
Bloomberg's Kriti Gupta. Tesla shares fell 8.8% in the regular session. U.S. consumer sentiment unexpectedly fell for the first time in 3 months. The preliminary October sentiment index declined to 68.9 from 70.1 in September. It's according to the University of Michigan. The median estimate in a Bloomberg survey of economists called for a reading of 71. And banks reported earnings today. BlackRock pulling in a record $221 billion of total client cash last quarter, pushing the world's largest money manager into an all-time high of $11.5 trillion of assets as it seeks to become a one-stop shop for stocks, bonds, and increasingly private assets. The firm added $2.4 trillion to its total assets over the past 12 months, and BlackRock shares gained 3.6% in the regular session. J.P. Morgan Chase kicked off bank earnings strong with a surprise gain in net interest income, even raising its forecast despite the Fed cutting interest rates. J.P. Morgan's Wall Street businesses also topped estimates. J.P. Morgan shares gained 4.4% in the regular session, closing up the most in about 18 months. Wells Fargo shares rose after this morning's opening bell after a surge in investment banking fees helped counter a dip in lending revenue as interest rates fall. Shares of Wells Fargo gained 5.6% in the regular session. President Biden says the damage from Hurricane Milton alone could be around $50 billion. He's preparing to see the devastation for himself firsthand when he goes to Florida this weekend. The president's traveling there on Sunday. Major League Baseball has moved the start time of tomorrow's decisive Game 5 of the AL Division Series between Detroit and Cleveland from a night game to an afternoon game. Because of a chance of inclement weather, that game will now be played at 1:08 p.m. on Saturday. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris, and this is Bloomberg.